I think women can do anything.
Just because they can doesn't mean they should.
But like, we are taking on the patriarchy.
Who steals humanitarian aid money?
Die, cis scum.
Have you ever wondered what would happen if feminists tried to make a movie? Do you think it would be inspiring, empowering, witty, and groundbreaking? Or would it be a cliche action movie with a mediocre plotline relying on its woke points to be watchable? How do you honestly think a feminist movie would go down? Well, ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to find out. And spoiler alert, it goes down like week-old Brussels sprouts with a side of curdled octopus milk. Bad. So grab your popcorn and let's watch what happens when feminists make a movie. What's up everybody, Hunter Avalone here and welcome to a brand new video. Today, we will all be laughing at the massive blunder that is this feminist action movie. The movie I'm referring to is called Charlie's Angels. It's a new action comedy about a trio of female super spies trying to retrieve a weapon of mass destruction from the wrong hands. Directed by Elizabeth Banks, The Guardian calls this a weaponized feminist frenzy. This movie recently hit theaters and has gone on to fail so badly, the financial loss can only be explained by claiming there's a wage gap. But first, it doesn't matter if you're paid more or less because my new merch is on sale. Go to grabmymerch.com and check out my brand new winter hoodies, all with before Christmas shipping. And just because I love you all so much, you can use promo code WINTER at the checkout to get 20% off your entire order. Help support my channel while also looking fresh as hell in my new merch. Thanks, guys. Okay, so where was I? Oh, right. Charlie's Angels is originally a TV show from the mid-70s. Today, no one would consider the show feminist. The entire plot existed around the three main female characters being hot and near naked. Nevertheless, this sleazy show was successful, and in 2000, the first Charlie's Angels movie was released. In 2003, the second movie came out, and on November 15th, 2019, the latest Charlie's Angels movie disgraced us all. Now make no mistake, this third movie is not a third movie at all. It's a reboot, produced by the clusterfuck known as Sony Studios. Sony, the studio responsible for the well-loved classics such as Ghostbusters 2016 and The Emoji Movie. Now don't get me wrong, a lot of movie companies use nostalgia to try and sell tickets, but no one does it quite as poorly as Sony. Sony takes that bit of nostalgia you have in your heart, that last little glimmer of hope, reminiscent of when times were good and people were happy, and they dangle it in front of you, leading you into the theater to see the reboot like a sheep to the slaughter. They seem to continuously follow the same formula. Take a classic and reboot it, only this time it's worse, and it's all about the women! Despite the fact that the original TV show was all about women, well, it's 2019 and a movie has a woman in it. Therefore, it's a feminist female empowerment film, and if you don't like it, well, you're sexist. I'm not even saying this to try and be hyperbolic or mock the film. This is literally the approach they took when advertising for this film.
Welcome to the Townsend Agency. We exist because traditional law enforcement can't keep up.
I don't like that, boy.
You guys are like lady spies. Jane's former MI6.
The movie tries way too hard to be some kind of woke feminist statement, but it ends up just being really forced. The main characters are talked down to and told to smile more, obviously trying to play into the Me Too era. Even the left-wing Slate says Banks' vision of women empowerment heaven plays more like a checklist of topics from the feminist discourse of the past few years than a coherent movie, let alone a crowd-pleasing one. The squeaky clean cheerleading and "am I right, ladies?" elbowing meant to lull me into a state of sisterly contentment just made me miss the original show. She's completely right. It seems like this film is relying on its blatant feminist undertones to supplement for lack of quality. There's nothing wrong with making a movie about strong female characters. Some of my favorite movies and TV shows have strong female characters in them, but the production also has to be good. Make a good movie that has women in it, rather than putting women in a movie to try and make it good. One of the main actresses, Kristen Stewart, mocked men and then proceeded to claim that this movie is taking on the patriarchy.
I feel like any misogynist that it might piss off won't even really be aware of it because it still is quite a lot of fun. And so I think at the end of it, it's sort of like not knowing that your girlfriend has made fun of you. I think they'll all be like, haha, what? Yeah, totally. Haha, that was a lot of fun. But really, we won the game.
You know, not all guys are these brawny, dumb jocks with an IQ at room temperature. I mean, look at me. Sure, I'm dumb, but I'm not muscular.
Yeah, but it's not like offensive in any way. And literally at the same time, it's like some of our most heroic characters in the movie are men. But like, we are taking on the patriarchy in a way that any really good guy, anyone that you would want your brother to be or your dad to be, would own.
Yes, this groundbreaking, iconic, feminist reboot is taking the patriarchy head on. I get that since this is a feminist movie, you have to throw in this grandiose interpretation of your subpar movie, but no one is buying that this mediocre action film is making any kind of significant social impact. It would have been much more impactful if the movie was not only made by women, but also enjoyable. But let's be real for a second, this movie isn't taking on the patriarchy. The only thing it is taking on is chapter 13. Yeah, guys, apparently all the female empowerment in the world couldn't get this film to earn a damn nickel. The movie was, unsurprisingly, a massive flop, shattering Elizabeth Banks' dream of turning it into a franchise. According to Mike, the movie, which was written, directed, produced, and starred in by Elizabeth Banks, had a $50 million budget and only made $8 million in its opening weekend, a certified flop.
I think, you know, if I were to do any inspiring with this movie, I hope I inspire a lot of young women to get involved, older women to get involved, women of all ages to get involved and tell their stories. And I also hope I inspire more executives to hire more women and trust us.
Well, this is a bit ironic. Look, don't worry. I'm sure after this massive fail, plenty of executives will trust you to pour their coffee properly. This feminist frenzy was quickly turning into a feminist flop. No one cared to see it, and for those who did, they hated it. Like, seriously despised it. 4 out of 10 on IMDb? Come on, even Shark Tale is rated better than that. As a woman, I'm embarrassed. Cure for insomnia. Another franchise destroyed. Awful. Another worthless reboot. Granny panties makeup. Okay, you get the picture. The movie was bombing because it sucked. It was boring and no one wanted a feminist reboot of a classic TV show. But Elizabeth Banks wasn't about to admit defeat. She was not willing to admit that maybe, just maybe, her movie wasn't all that good. No, instead she was bracing herself for a box office flop in typical feminist fashion. Blaming men. Prior to the movie's disastrous opening weekend, Banks gave an interview to the Herald Sun that is now proving to be somewhat controversial. The filmmaker called out a potential box office bomb as being sexist. Look, people have to buy tickets to this movie too. This movie has to make money, she said. If this movie doesn't make money, it reinforces a stereotype in Hollywood that men don't go see women do action movies. If my movie flops, it's not because the movie wasn't good, it's because vagina. Here's a little thinker for ya. Maybe, just maybe, if men don't go see your movie, it's not because men are sexist pigs, but rather, men would rather watch a good movie, regardless of whether or not there's a female or a male in it, instead of shilling for some cheap feminist propaganda. You can't guilt people into seeing your film. I mean, what is this? If you have a vajay, this movie will make you shout yay. But if you have a peen, you're mean. Not to mention, other movies with female leads have gone on to be extremely successful. Earlier this year, Brie Larson starring Captain Marvel grossed $426 million in the US and over $1.1 billion at the worldwide box office, and Wonder Woman ended its summer 2017 run with $821 million worldwide, but Banks says these female-fronted comic book films are still tied to a large male genre. They'll go and see a comic book movie with Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel because that's a male genre, Banks told The Sun. So even though those are movies about women, they put them in the context of feeding the larger comic book world. Wait, hold on, just stop for a second. So the successful movies starring women in them are successful because men are sexist. But your movie isn't successful because men are sexist? What are you babbling about, lady? I get that you wrote, filmed, directed, and acted in this movie, and I understand that it really sucks to see something you've worked so hard on completely fail. But this weak finger pointing at the privileged mayo cracker men is absolutely ridiculous and the most desperate and sexist attempt at a scapegoat I've ever seen. By the way, I'm happy for those characters to have box office success, but we need more women's voices supported with money because that's the power. The power is in the money. Well, I'm no movie expert, but apparently you aren't either, so correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure blaming a massive movie-going demographic for your own cinematic shortcomings is not the proper way to go about that. Ultimately, the movie was a huge disaster, and the feminist agenda is one of the main culprits behind this film's downfall. Although the film was cringy, I'm glad it was made because it provided us all with this epic saga of blame, pride, and failure. I wish this film could have been good, but I fear the director and the cast were far too focused on shoving a big, black, juicy agenda down our throats instead of producing a good quality film. I want to see movies with strong female protagonists as much as the next guy, but the movie has to be good. You can't make up for a low quality script with high frequency feminist talking points. So now you know what happens when feminists make a movie. They over politicize it fails, and they blame men. I tell you, this in and of itself was quite an amazing story. I want to see this as a movie. Thank you everyone for watching. Please give this video a like, comment below and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to go to grabmymerch.com and use promo code WINTER to get 20% off all of my new Christmas merch. Thanks guys. Peace.